With the Senate poised to complete some major business for the country and wrap up a most unusual year, I want to express some gratitude to the men and women behind the scenes who make our work possible. Passing an historic rescue package and a full-year funding bill would be a serious undertaking, even in ordinary circumstances. And of course, this pandemic year has brought anything but ordinary circumstances to the Senate, just like everywhere else. For about 10 months and counting, COVID-19 has imposed new challenges on hundreds of people who are already plenty busy enough. After much of the Senate worked remotely in April, we came back to work in early May, like the essential institution that we are. Month after month, we've taken smart and careful precautions and remained an exemplary safe workplace. And all along, we've not just continued to govern, but completed landmark confirmations and historic legislation for the American people. None of this would have been possible without many people beyond the 100 of us with our names on these desks. I want to thank the Office of the Secretary of the Senate, led by Julie Adams and Mary Sue Jones. This team encompasses everyone from the talented professionals who sit on the dais to the official reporters of debates, to dispersing, and many other offices. Thanks to our parliamentarian, Elizabeth McDonough, who faithfully calls the balls and strikes. She won the admiration of our temporary presider, Chief Justice Roberts, before we reclaimed her as the Senate's own. Thanks also to the Senate Sergeant at Arms, Mike Stenger, and Jennifer Hemingway, and their whole team, from the doorkeepers to the IT team that stood up enormous telework capabilities almost overnight, to the workers who clean offices, move furniture, and keep this place running in hundreds of ways. Our architect of the Capitol, Brett Blanton, assumed his role just before the pandemic hit. He never missed a beat. His team tackled cleaning in a way that exceeded industry standards, reconceived the food services, and again physically kept the Capitol functioning. Of course, very special thanks are due to our attending physician, Dr. Brian Monahan, and the entire team that he leads. Believe me, they already had a full-time job caring for the members of Congress and the Supreme Court. We've leaned on Dr. Monahan in countless ways all year long. His expertise and wise counsel have been a credit to the Senate throughout the pandemic. Here in the chamber, I want to thank our cloakroom teams led by Gary Myrick on the Democratic side and Robert Duncan on ours. Duncan had only just stepped into his current role when the crisis began to unfold. He navigated about 10 years' worth of big challenges in his first 10 months in the top job. Thanks to him and his capable deputy, Chris Tuck. Another key group these past months have been our Rules Committee led by Chairman Blunt and his staff director, Fitzhugh Elder. The committee has run point on coordinating many of the changes and adaptations that have helped keep this body safe. They've done an outstanding job without enough recognition or thanks. We're grateful to the men and women of the Capitol Police, led by Chief Stephen Sund, who have stood their post even when most of the rest of us have worked remotely. They've stood strong during this pandemic, during protests, both peaceful and otherwise, and during the other daily operations that they handle with courage and professionalism. And across the board, I want to thank all of our Senate staff, both the smaller footprint who have continued physically working at the Capitol and those who kept up their hard work remotely have confronted all kinds of novel challenges. Our institution and our country are grateful to you all. Last but not least, I want to thank my own team. My personal office, led by departing Chief of Staff Bill Maxson, has fought every day for Kentuckians' needs and priorities throughout this crisis. Our state offices, steered by Terry Carmack, kept us connected to our constituents in new ways. My communications director, Robert Stewart, and all their colleagues who staff these operations are invaluable to me and to Kentucky. Here in the Capitol, my leadership staff has given incredible amounts of themselves to me, to our team, and to the Senate the entire year. Remember, this is somehow still the same calendar year that began with an impeachment trial, continued through the CARES Act, other major legislation over the summer, a Supreme Court vacancy and confirmation this fall, and finally the all-out legislative sprint since Thanksgiving. First, my two deputy chiefs of staff. Steph Muckall runs our operations in an incredibly, historically complex time to handle operations. She's worn about 10 different hats all year long, as usual. And Scott Rabb handles policy. He's led his colleagues through a legislative year like no other, from mammoth negotiations and historic rescue packages to our most particular priorities and everything in between. We've all leaned on Scott heavily, and he's been indispensable. Beneath them, within our operation, are a lot of talented folks I'm lucky to have. I want to name them very briefly. My chief counsel, Andrew Ferguson, offers brilliant advice from impeachment to policy to the judiciary. Robert Karam, my defense policy expert, has brought critical institutional leadership as 2020 tested everything from national security to continuity of government. Jane Lee handles her massive portfolio and more besides, with incredible effectiveness and calm under fire, and she sings the best Christmas carols in the office. Terry Van Doren is a policy master who delivers for Kentucky and the country every time. Erica Suarez and Jim Neal, expert liaisons and advisors who keep me connected inside the Senate and beyond. Steve Donaldson, my point man on all things election law during this election year. John Chappies, a seasoned Senate veteran who picked quite the time to join our team and cover economic policy. Jody Wright fights to get good people in good positions with good cheer. Andy Quinn is a master of words and ideas. David Popp heads my press team. He, Doug Andres, Scott Sloofman, and their whole operation keep my message and the Republican conference's message front and center. Sarah Steinberg manages my days, and Alex Jenkins manages my office, both with great humor and greater professionalism. Moon Selfab keeps our technology systems running and our spirits high. I have to mention our healthcare expert, Jen Koskowski, who worked remotely this spring while expecting her baby boy and has been cheering us on while on maternity leave. We can't wait to get her back. And thanks to Grace Graham and Peter Oppenheim, who Senator Alexander generously shared from his Health Committee staff to help us in Jen's absence. Rounding out our leadership team are crack researchers Robert Utze and David Haltman, skilled communicators Dylan Vorbeck, Valerie Chicola, Suzanne Youngblood, Emily Hauk, and Catherine Grayson. And our frontline troops, the jack of all trades who keep everybody in line, Victoria Mason, Elise Stebick, and Spencer Abraham. Finally, Mr. President, at the head of this entire team is our fearless leader, our Chief of Staff, Sharon Soderstrom. Everybody on Capitol Hill and everybody in Washington knows that Sharon is one of the smartest, most dedicated, and most effective staff leaders working at any level in any branch of government. She's my first call and my last call on every subject. She was in the leader's office before I was. She supported both Trent Lott and Bill Frist. So I count my blessings on a daily basis that I am lucky, number 3. Sharon carries the weight of the world on her shoulders and not only delivers, but somehow prioritizes lightening everybody else's load while she's at it. A walking master class in leadership. I'm proud of all that we've accomplished for the country in this challenging year, and I couldn't be gladder to be heading into 2021 with these talented professionals at my side. So I thank them, Mr. President. I thank them one and all.